Hello, class. I'm going to talk to you about how to turn this data table into a graph. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make this as large as possible, not, within reason. I'll just go, let me use the centimeter side. Just make a nice parallel line. I'm leaving a bit of a margin just so I have room to write information. So, just make a big L, and you can see from our data table, I'm going from 2 to 20. So that's our x-axis. The set of numbers, if you remember, you kind of pick these, 2, 4, 6, 8, or I'm the one who picked them, and I told you to do the same. But if you went 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 6, 9, et cetera, you're the one who's in control of this. So that's the x-axis. So we're going to go from 0 to 20 because we're going 2 to 20. That's pretty easy. I'll just make a mark here, and we're going to call that 20. Then about halfway, we're going to make 10. And then it gets a little tricky because you're going to divide this up into 5. Wait, we got to find a 5 here. Cut this in half. Cut this in half. That's not tricky. 5 and 15. But if we divide it any further, we end up with 5 equal parts. And it takes some practice. We just imagine here, because if you imagine right there, that's going to be like 7.5. And that's not real good. So we want to do, with a little bit of practice, you can actually get good at cutting it into 5 equal parts. So let's see, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can kind of estimate 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's not perfect. I'm going to nudge these over a little bit. 16, 17, 18. Okay, so we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Now, the y-axis, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to call this, our range is 50 through 111. So I'm just going to call this 100 up here, and then we'll just go a little beyond it because it goes up to 111. But if this is, we could do this many different ways, or a number of different ways. This is 100. We could call this 50. If we call halfway 50, then all of our line will be all up here. It'll be kind of squished within this region. But we can also we can just start at 50 down here. There's no reason why we have to start at 0. This may be 0 on the x-axis, but it could be 50. In fact, one way that you can draw graphs, if you want to sort of skip the zone, is put this little squiggly. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little squiggly. That's a way of telling whoever's looking at this graph that we're jumping from 0 to like 50. Let's put 50 right there. And now halfway between 50 and 100 would be 75. So there's 75. And now let's try to imagine if that's 75, we got to basically divide it up into 5 equal parts. I'm going to put light marks. That looks pretty good. Those look pretty even, so I'm going to darken them in now that I like them. So 60, 70, 80, 90, which makes sense if 75 is right between 70 and 80. So I did a good job there. Now, if this is 110, 111, actually, boy, that goes off the chart. I should have made it a little bit shorter because 110 would be up to there, and 111 would be, I guess it puts almost at the bottom of this graph line. But anyways, that's 110. So these are ordered pairs, as you learned in your math class. 2 goes with 50.4. So 2 is right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 2. 2 goes with 50.4. So that's very close to 50, just a tiny bit higher than the 50 line. Like if we imagine the 50 line going right there, we want it to be a tiny bit higher than that line. So 50.4. Then 4 goes with 58.7. 58.7 is very close to 59. So let's see. If we imagine 55 is right there. If we imagine some lines here to make 5 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. So 59 is right there. It's a tiny bit lower than 59. So I'm going to put a very, very light line as parallel as I can, just under 59, just to imagine. It's very lightly. Here's 4. 4 comes up. If we kind of make some guidelines going upwards too, I just did that very soft, just so I could help myself more accurately place that point. Okay, now next one, 6. Wait, I messed this up. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was not 4, that was 3. I got distracted by my middle line. So that's 3. Here's 4. So let's just move that over so it lines up with 4. Not a big deal. Okay, there's my 4. And then 6 is right here. 6 is going to go up to 66. So if this is 65, then we'd be one tiny notch higher than 65. Yeah. And 6 goes up to that. I'm just very lightly drawing these lines. There's my point. Okay. Now 8 is right here. 7, 8. 8 goes up to 68.5. So 65, 66, 67, 68. Yeah, okay, 68 is right there. 68.5. So right in between those two would be the number we're looking for. And 8 lines up with that. And so we put our point right there. And next is 10 and 72. 72 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 72 would be right there. 10 lines up with that. It's really pretty important that you do these perpendicular and parallel as much as possible. And then 12 is right there. 12 goes with 80.9, so a tiny bit higher than the line for 80. And 12 goes up from there. Put a point there. And then 14 goes to 89.6, which is really close to 90. So just a tiny bit lower than 90. I'm going to make a guideline, a very soft one. And here's 14 now. We go straight up. And that's where our point will be. Okay, so then 16 goes with 94. 94 would be, if this is 95, then 94 would be a little bit below that. Okay, 16 lines up with that. I'm going to make a light guideline. Put a point. 18, 97.7. So 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. So 95. That's a little bit off, isn't it? Yeah, that's more like 94. Oh, that's because I made that one. So this is 95, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I got to squeeze another one in there. So this is 95 right there. I thought that was 95, but this one is. Okay, so that's 97. So that would be right here. 97.7, so it's almost to the next line. And then 18 lines up with that. Put a point. Basically, we're just doing these ordered pairs. 20 goes up to 111.9, so almost 112. So I'm guessing that this line is kind of helping me by being so straight. And then I just line this up with that. So basically our point ends up being like that. Now I'm going to need a longer ruler, because what we need to do is fire a line as straight through. See how they're not quite straight, but we need to try to do a best fit line, sort of average through there. So I'm guessing about like that, kind of half of them on one side, half of them on the other. And here we go. Let's take a look. pretty much right down the middle as much as possible. I hope you can see that. And that's how you make a data table. And this is the real thing. And from our discussion, if we refined our technique, used better equipment and methods, these points would be harder to not make the line straight. They would be, you would see that as you reduce the errors, they actually form a more consistent line. There you go. Good job.